I've been called many things in my 36 years here on this earth, but I think the one that I am the most proud of is farmer. Yes, I know, looking at me now, you probably don't think, and I don't conjure up the look of a traditional farmer, but that's in fact what I am. I grew up on a hobby farm in downstate Michigan in a small little town called Newaygo. When I graduated from high school, what I wanted to do was get as far away from the farm and the country as possible. But wow, how things change. By 2003, I was co-owner and managing a farm for the next 8 years. And during that time, I was planting crops. I was harvesting crops, going to the farmers markets, running a CSA, supervising apprentices. I loved every moment of it. A passion, a calling. It's what I was meant to do. I remember the very first time that I was called a farmer. I walked into one of the local chiropractic offices carrying my CSA box, and the woman looks up from the counter, and she tells who she's talking to. My farmer's here, hold on a minute. And I remember thinking to myself, she called me a farmer. I'm her farmer. She's calling me her farmer. It was such an amazing feeling, a sense of pride that I was growing food. I was growing food for her family. Good food, wholesome food. And it was a great, great feeling. Now, those people who know me know that I could talk about food ad nauseum, really. I love food. To say I love food is an understatement. So it's become a huge part of my life and what I do. Now, when we look at our society today, we think, wow, as we get older, we're just going to get one of these many diseases: cancer, diabetes, heart disease. And it's just a part of the normal aging process. I'm in the school system all the time. And what do? I ask the students that. I say, as you get older, do you just kind of think that you're going to get one of those diseases? And almost every hand goes up. How disheartening. How disheartening to think that people just assume that they're going to get one of those major diseases when we now know that diet and disease are intrinsically linked. They are linked to the standard American diet. Yes, folks, the standard American diet, SAD. Sugar, lots of salt, fat, lots of animal products. But what that does is that allows us to become victims. We then say, oh, that's in my genes. Everyone in my family is a diabetic. Or everyone in my family eventually gets cancer. But that's defeatist. We have power, and that power is food. Food is incredibly powerful. Food can start wars. It can shape cultures. It can heal. It can harm. So we all have that power within us. I'll never forget, I was teaching a cooking class. We had just finished preparing all of the recipes, and we sat down, and there was a woman in her mid-40s, and she began lamenting to me, my husband's really ill. He's in his mid-40s too. He's diabetic. He's overweight. He has many health problems, and I don't know how to help him. And she was frustrated. She said it runs in his family. And I looked at her, and I said, are you the primary cook in the household? And she said, well, yeah, I am. I said, do you cook like his mom cooked for him? And she paused, and she looked at me, and she said, I do. I do. And then the light bulb went on. That connection, that perhaps the way they were eating in that family was directly causing some of his health problems. But once you make that connection and that becomes clear, it's so incredibly, incredibly powerful. Now, in this country, we spend about 10% of our household income on food. Other countries spend about 30%. And what we've seen over the last 50 years, as we spend less and less and less on food, we get sicker and sicker and sicker. Where does that come from? Why is it that we live in a society where we want nice cars and nice clothes and we want to have all the entertainment that we possibly can have, but where is it that we want to save money? Where do we want to cheap out? On our food. We clip coupons. We look for the lowest prices, the most bulk, and we say, oh, it's not worth it to spend that much. But you know what? It is worth it to spend that much. Food is the one area that you get what you pay for. It's so very, very important. Now, again, when you look around and you think about food and you think, people say to me, Natasha, how can you afford to eat well? And I say, well, you know what? I can't afford not to eat well. Because I look at any investment that I make in food as I'm investing in healthcare. I see the food that I purchase as being part of my healthcare package. The idea is I want to help my body now so that later I don't have to spend as much in healthcare. Humor me for just a second and think about your body as being a car with a gasoline engine. And one day, you just decide, I'm going to the gas station, but today I'm going to put diesel fuel in my tank just to change it up a little bit. What's going to happen? Probably you're going to get out of the driveway and you're going to just kind of chug and sputter and then nothing. Our bodies are very similar, except it takes a whole lot longer for us to run out of steam. Our bodies are amazing. They adapt. They try to figure out why, when you're feeding me something substandard and expecting all this high-tech performance, what is that all about? So we have become so used to not feeling well, not eating the right things. We've taken the community, we've taken the faces away from our food. The grocery store shelves are lined with processed, packaged products, screaming out health claims. But what we really need to do is we really need to become a community of mindful eaters. And when you talk about mindful eating, you are what you eat. And every single bite that you take becomes part of you and who you are. So we need to think about when we make an investment in buying something like local food, not only are you keeping your dollars in the community and supporting your friends and neighbors, but it goes deeper. You are connecting food with place, with community. It's something bigger than yourself. So when you think about food and the food choices that you make, realize that food doesn't just fill your belly, it needs also to nourish your soul.